Last year, I was invited to debate at a 200-year-old debate society called the Oxford Union. I debated against senior government officials from the United States and UK government and Oxford students regarding cybersecurity. It was truly my kind of fun. But the best part about it was the first time that my three boys thought that I was doing something cool. But it had everything to do with the fact the video was on YouTube. My sons shared the video with their friends, and my older son, who was 15 at the time, came to me and said, "Hey, Mom, you should take a look at the comments." He seemed embarrassed. I got nervous. Top comment, "I'd fuck that." Next one, "Yeah, I'd fuck that too." Then a feminine-sounding alias jumped in and said, "Hey, not cool. This is an articulate woman, and we should focus on the argument." And then added, "But I'd fuck that too." So here's my 15-year-old son trying to show pride in his mom, and these comments were there for his friends and his younger brothers to see. I was mortified. What was a substantial talk, both online and offline, became an opportunity to violate me and to negatively contribute to my online persona. These commenters, they didn't want to discuss the topic or give me critical feedback. They just were anonymous trolls hiding behind anonymity. It was then that I realized that I can't control my online persona or how I want others to see me because the trolls get to contribute to it. I have a love-hate relationship with the internet. I love that the internet made it possible for my talk to be seen by anyone, anywhere, at any time. But I hate that the internet made it possible for those comments to be added for my boys and my dad to see. What was once an issue reserved just for famous people now becomes relevant to all of us. In a world where information is universally accessible, how do we control our online privacy? The line between our online lives and our offline lives is blurring, and our privacy and our control over who we are and how we want others to see us is disappearing. Now, we know that nothing is free, not online, not offline. We know that there's a value exchange for those free apps and services that we use, and that our information is collected and stored and shared by companies. We agreed to it when we hit accept on some privacy policy somewhere. But no matter how in control that you think you are of your privacy, you are not. You don't actually own your Facebook profile and your photos. Google scans, still today at least, scans all of your Gmail. Your iPhone knows exactly where you are at all times, even if you have location services turned off. But I'm not afraid of Google or Apple or Facebook. For the most part, I trust those companies. I know who they are. I know what they're doing. No, what I'm afraid of is that unknown villain, that person making anonymous threats, that company that I've never heard of, or that stranger that has unbelievable amounts of data about me and my family. Now, everything that you do online leaves behind a breadcrumb. It's a piece of you. You might be sitting there saying, "I don't care. I'm so boring. Nothing like this matters to me." But what about your name? Your search for abortion? Pregnancy? Divorce? Wedding rings? What about all those videos you watch? What about the private support groups for addiction, for cancer, religion? It's so personal. And then, let's think about the information I can find out about you offline. Where you work, where you live, where you go, and when you go there. The list goes on and on. I can take your online information, combine it with your offline information, create a pretty massive dossier about you. Does that scare you? It didn't scare me till I hired someone to do it. So despite me being up here, I'm actually a pretty private person outside of work. You won't find many photos of me and my family online, Facebook, or Flickr. I actually keep a pretty low profile outside of work. I'm what you call privacy aware, and I try to control as many breadcrumbs as I can. So I wanted to know, what could someone find about me, online to offline? So I created my own villain, simply by giving them my name, Denelle Dixon. They followed the trail of breadcrumbs from my online life to my offline life and created a whole loaf of Dixon bread. And here's what they found. My physical addresses for the last 25 years. My email addresses for the last 25 years. Where I live, where I intend to live. What cars I drive, what cars I own. Hundreds of pages from my divorce and custody proceeding that contained highly personal information about me and my family. That villain followed the trail to my house, stood outside, and without me knowing, took a picture of my oldest son. That's my oldest son. That is my home. This is what scares me. It was so simple. It took them just a few hours to know more about me than my parents do. So what could happen when someone follows the trail of breadcrumbs to you? #Gamergate. Gamergate is a movement that uses a hashtag as an opportunity to harass people both online and offline. It all started when a guy posted false accusations about his ex-girlfriend, who was a female game developer. Harassment campaigns spiraled out of control, online and offline, against multiple women and the social justice warriors, the men who defended them. They found personal information, phone numbers, and address, and they posted that online. The release of this personal information resulted in real physical threats in their offline lives of rape and death and massacres and bombings. Many women had to flee their home as a result of these threats. One social justice warrior sold his company and left the gaming industry altogether. The villains, in this case, they were hiding behind anonymity, much like the commenters on my Oxford talk. They were investigated, they were never found or prosecuted. As you can see, it just took one breadcrumb, one tweet, one blog post that led to their online profiles, which led to finding them and making threats in their real life. Gamergate began in 2014. There's been some progress. Some platforms, they've made improvements technically to their filtering, to their reporting technologies with respect to hateful content. It is some progress, but it's not enough. We are literally seeing behavior like this happen today in the current political movement in the United States. Today. We need a better future, because soon everyone will be victimized with their own personal information. Just think about what we learned this week from Equifax. Passwords will be hacked. Somebody could be using your credit card right now online, and you have no idea who they are. We need a better future. I imagine a world where we are in control of all of our personal information. Because in the future, it's going to become harder and harder for us to disconnect our online and our offline lives. I imagine something like this privacy control center. If you followed all the breadcrumbs here, you could see that I had cancer last year, but I don't want anybody to target me or any company to know that about me, so I've locked it. I don't want people to target my children. They're under 18. None of their information should be used or collected, so I've locked that too. When I'm in control of my information, I don't want to share all the information that I just shared with you. Imagine if this was like a paper shredder equivalent to your digital footprint. Now, here's the thing. This is actually possible today. And some companies, they've even built pieces of it. But we still don't have the ability to control all of our information. Why is that? It's because we haven't demanded it. And most companies, they think that we don't even care about it. But we know that we can change behaviors of companies just by our reactions. But technology, it can only solve part of the problem. It can build this really powerful control center, but it can't change our behavior. We need to do that. We need to work together to create a better future. And we can do that by taking two actions. First, we need to become accountable, trustworthy humans as part of this online global community. Together, there are billions of us. We need to remember that behind every blog post, every comment, every tweet, every troll, every bot, there's a human. And we need to remember not to become one of the villains ourselves. So what are you going to do when you see online harassment? Are you going to ignore it? Are you going to reply to it? Or are you going to stand up, report the abuse, and stop it? That's what I did with the Oxford Union video. I reported those comments and got them deleted. Don't reply or engage with the trolls. It just gives them power. Report the abuse to the companies and make them understand who they work for. Second, we need to demand that the products that we use, that they actually hold up to the control standards that we want. We need to demand that companies work together to build the products like that control center. We need to use our voices. There's strength in numbers. Call them. Contact them through their websites. Use social media. Together, we can make a change. And if that doesn't work, stop using the products. Vote with your loyalty and show them your value. So this is all in our hands. It's in my hands and yours. I know what I'm going to do. And I know what I'm going to teach my kids to do. So what are you going to do? Remember, someone can follow the breadcrumbs and that whole trail to you too. Thank you.